All right. Here we go. All right. So, welcome, and good morning. Good morning. It's the morning show with me, your method. And no, stop. Stop. All right. So this is the second morning show since we got everything set up after the move. Feeling good. I got new lights back here, so it's a little bit brighter in here. I cannot turn. I put some smart overhead lights up in the top here overhead, in this in my new stream room, and they're cheap lights. They're cheaper smart lights, hubless, and if I turn them on, there's a weird effects. My camera doesn't like them, so I need to figure out I need to change that up, but we're getting there. I still have I have 2 boxes I still have to go through of all my office and computer stuff. Hopefully, and in one of those boxes is my external hard drive that I kept all my stuff on. So that's where all my VODs were saved, a lot of my graphics and things, so I can't actually edit or change any of my graphics right now. I had some fun ideas I wanted to work on until I find where I put that hard drive. I do have coffee this time for the morning show. I turned my Keurig on just to make this coffee for the morning show. So, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a good weekend. You're going to be watching this on YouTube tomorrow, then hopefully you're having a good start to your week. And yeah, so we'll be talking about board games again, and house stuff. That's mostly what my life is right now, is house stuff. But also just I want to talk about some of the channel content stuff again, just to kind of get that out there again on a video, mostly for myself, just to kind of do like a think out loud type of situation. Is that I have plans I want to do with it, and I just basically, sometimes you gotta think things through out loud, so we'll kind of go over that a little bit and figure some stuff out. So over the weekend had like 2 very interesting examples of like the different stuff that people will go through when you own a house. And one of them is the HVAC, which we knew going into. So we knew going into this house that the HVAC was going to have to be replaced sooner rather than later, and it turned out to be much sooner. So we got that experience all done and good, and now we have new HVAC, and it's great because the house isn't 80 something degrees in the afternoon. So those are one of the not so fun aspects of owning a house. I mean, now Hey Indigo, how's it going? How's your weekend? And we're just here talking about we had to get a new HVAC in the house, so it's not one of the most exciting things about okay, I might go and check her out again. I haven't had time to check out a lot of people's streams. I always like when people do charity streams for sure. I'll probably pop over there sometime. Hang out. Yeah, so but we have new HVAC here in the house. It's great. Not exciting. Home ownership stuff kind of boring. And expensive. But then we had some friends over to play some board games. We used our fire pit, and that's always fun. But after the fire pit was dying down, I noticed that the wood had or the ash pan in the fire pit had kind of rusted, and it was basically burning through, dropping embers on the ground, which is just dirt and stone underneath it, so not a concern there. But yeah, so I went this weekend and got stuff from Lowe's and did my first like real home person project. I got a bunch of bricks and put them up around the fire pit, so that way once the ash pan basically completely caves through, we'll have the metal rim of the fire pit in there, and then on the outside of that I have now a layer of bricks. So it's basically you know, it'll be more permanent this way, and then I don't have to worry about folding up sheet metal and making a new ash pan and things like that. Basically just a brick fire pit now with a metal interior liner to keep the heat away from the bricks, so the bricks will last longer. But that was exciting. It was actually pretty fun. Bricks are freaking heavy though. I had to get 32 of them. It's like 11-inch by 7-inch, and then 11-inch by 6-inch bricks, and then 12-inch by 7-inch bricks. They were dumb and heavy. So that was some exciting things this weekend as far as I think house stuff. Two sides of it, because in your apartment, even if you have access to a community grill or a community area, depending on the level of apartment community you live in, sometimes they do have fancy stuff. And you sometimes get access to those community features, depending on your apartment community or living community, but you can't make changes to them. You can't do stuff with them. So I think that's exciting to me, because I was looking at it, I was like, I need to fix this fire pit because it's just burning through the center of it. And then you just go and you do something. So I looked up bricks at Lowe's. I planned it out, how many bricks I was going to need, all that stuff. I went and got them, and then I built a new containment area around my fire pit. So that's one of the things I think is exciting about owning a house, is you can just do that stuff. And yeah, so I have other projects in my head. And my first project coming into the house was I was going to make a bocce court in the backyard. I was like, that's got to be easy. All you need to do is take a relatively flat part of your backyard dig up the grass, throw down some piece of wood around it, make sure it's level, and throw down some material like astroturf or something like that if you want grass one. Or I know a lot of recreational bocce courts use like a gravel powder mixture for the base, and then throw oyster shell flour on it to give it that a thick a flat dirt look that has a little bit better roll. So I was looking at that stuff, and then my wife and I went out on a little trip a couple weeks ago when our first closing date got delayed, and we went to a place that had indoor bocce courts, and even indoor bocce courts are of a relative size. And every time I think in my head about a bocce court, I don't think I fully think about the size of a bocce court. They are obnoxious. And then the backyard that we have, like 80% of it is at a incline, like a pretty big slope, which is not bad when you're hanging out and just using your backyard for a backyard. Not great if you want a flat surface for a bocce court. And like, even when it comes to like what they call like a recreational home bocce courts, they recommend that it's 13 feet wide by 60 feet long. That's a lot of area that you need to flatten and do all that stuff. So that I thought was going to be one of my first projects, but now that might be a bigger project than I thought. I don't know. I know an area where I could put one, but I need to figure out if it's going to block all of my shed or not, mostly. So that's another thing for house stuff. Yeah, so my first project ended up being fixing up the fire pit. I think it looks okay. When I got all the bricks and stuff, I realized that bricks don't necessarily line up as much as, like, I designed it in a photo program, and I designed it as if the bricks were going to be exactly 11 inches and this and that. But I guess when it comes to bricks and things like that, they can vary quite a bit. So the measurements of the actual bricks did not line up exactly. So there's still a little bit more that I want to do with the fire pit. The corners didn't line up exactly like I wanted them to. So now I have like room for like corner pieces. So I might look into getting a few corner pieces to flesh it out. But for the most part, it's functional. And it looks good. It looks better than just the fire pit hanging out like it was, I think. So that was pretty exciting. But now I'm sore for carrying like 600 pounds of bricks around. Those things are not light. And yeah. So as far as we go, the house, like, so I only have a couple boxes left for my office stuff. I have like 2 boxes of stuff that's stuff that I may or may not need. And then I have like 1 box of stuff that I could just leave in a box because I really don't care about. It's a 3D printer and stuff like that doesn't really work anymore. That's a future conversion project to turn into a normal 3D printer, because I got a specialized one that ended up being not great. And but for our house stuff, we're almost all unpacked. I think there might be like 1 box or so, 1 or 2 boxes left of actual house stuff to undo, because I've been focusing mostly on that, getting the rest of the house unpacked more so. over like getting my office and streaming stuff unpacked. I mean, I got my microphone, my lights, my desk and stuff like that, and my computer up, and you know, some sound panels and things, and that's about it. I figured I'll do the rest later when I after everything else, because the other stuff in the house is more important. So here we are now. We'll get to the point where I'll probably get the rest of my office unpacked today. And yeah. So that brings us into, you know, streaming content, things like that. So I'm going to aim to get another day of streaming today. Some gameplay streams sometime this week, not today. Either my Tuesday day or my Thursday day, one of those two. I'm gonna get that back on the schedule for some gameplay streaming. And I don't know what I'm gonna play yet. There's so many options. Games that I've dabbled in and stuff during my downtime during this move that I could bring into streaming. New games just came out. Mario Golf just came out Friday. That is super fun already. I played it just a little bit. So we'll see. But I do want to get at least one of my gameplay days back on the schedule this week. And then go from there. I want to, by next week, I want to be back on with my morning show and my 2 gameplay days on my schedule, so that way I get more back into more of a routine and we can introduce more stuff. You know, the content I want to be doing, the work on the community that I want to build as well, you know, which does involve me getting in and using social media. Like I keep saying, I'm going to do more social media, do more stuff on Instagram, things like that. And then I forget because I have ADHD. And, you know, I'll get like a bunch of stuff I could have been posting last week after the first morning show about all the stuff I was doing around the house and stuff like that. Like I said I was going to post, and then you go and do them and then you forget. Well, at least I do. So I definitely need to get better with that. And I want to get like an evening show chill stream on the schedule soon, so we can talk about the topics that I want to build in my community. And one of the things that when I started streaming, I wanted to make it be like my thing is streaming, you know. I was talking about, you know, mental health stuff. Hello, Dead Zoner. How's it going? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Soul Club. How you doing today? Man, that alert was really loud in my ears. I need to adjust that volume a little bit. Yeah, so that's the thing I want to get going. Hopefully soon. A nice evening chill stream. So like we got the morning show here. We talk about fun stuff, house stuff, board games, things like that. That's good, Dead Zoner. I'm glad you're well. And you know, get people ready for the week and talk about, like, you know, it's morning, the weekend. Everybody likes to do stuff on the weekend. I really want to get an evening show where we talk about more stuff, mental health things, you know, addiction things, sober gaming, things like that. That's the things that I wanted to foster a community around. Yeah, because we're mourning the weekend. The weekend's over and it's the start of a new week, so it's morning. It's a play on words, you know. I thought it was funny. Some people might not. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. When I started streaming, you know, in December, and this was the thing I wanted to talk about, but I missed talking about it because we were in the middle of moving to a house. But this past June 10th was 6 months of me when I decided to start. I'm glad you think it's funny, Dead Zoner. I thought it was. So plus it goes with my Grim Method name, I think. So yeah. Yeah. So, and that's on December 10th when I decided to start streaming full time or do it more and take it seriously. I did also decide that I wanted to do sober gaming and focus on me, like, because I'm sober now, and I focus on being sober, doing sober activities, stuff like that. And so June 10th would have been my half year of sober gaming, sober streaming, and sober content. And I missed it because we were moving into a house, stuff like that. So I didn't really get to talk about it near and around then. But talk about it now. And one of it's to do with, like, with the Lunar Alchemists. Have really helped me. That's the team I stream with. In our just, I hang out in our Discord, the community that we have in our Lunar Alchemist Discord, things like that. And so much of that, just the people I've met. Thanks, Dead Zoner. Yeah, it's like so much of the people I've met while streaming and like making this a more of a part. And like, yes, it is. Life is hard, and like making the decision to do this was hard too. And this is, when I started streaming, and I wanted that decision to be open about it and just talk about it and let not say, oh, I'm not drinking today, or I'm not drinking just because, like, oh, like a lot of people will try to like skirt the issue when they're hanging out, and they won't just come out and say I'm not drinking because I can't drink anymore. Like, I have to make that, I made that decision, whether that decision was fully made by you or if it was just made because you can't, like, I cannot drink anymore because I cannot control it. That's pretty much it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I've been drinking a couple times every week here, maybe I should cut back, get in shape, whatever, I'm gaining weight. It wasn't that. It was all or nothing. So, and a lot of people will skirt that issue. They won't talk about it like that. They won't tell you straight up that's why they're not drinking. And I think that decision in my life, when I started streaming, and I knew I was going to be upfront about it, be like, I'm sober because I have to be sober, then it really helps, because generally people won't ask questions because it might make them uncomfortable, or they might, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely hard sometimes, and sometimes, it's not hard. Like, you hang out with friends, you do things, you do activities that maybe at one point in time you used to drink when you did them, but now you don't. And I remember so much of like the events that I have when I'm hanging out with friends, and we're outside, doing a fire pit or playing board games, and I'm able to remember like the whole night. And it's not like, well, I remember the first board game we played or the first game we played, or I remember when we started the fire, and then everything's a blur after that. So it's, taking those things and being able to focus on that aspect of it does help a lot. And like I said, like the community that I've had with Lunar Alchemist and stuff like that, when you tell people and their understanding of it, it makes it so much easier. And it's really just hiding behind the stigma of it and stuff like that makes it hard. When you're not able to open and talk about it, people don't understand why you are, and then you end up in situations where you end up with triggering situations, stuff like that. So that's one of the things I want to introduce, and I want to start building a community, around that, people that understand that in one way or another. Mostly just like addiction, because a lot of addiction comes similar. It's whether it's, you know, people have food addictions, you know, shopping addictions, you know, alcohol addiction, you know, things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a chemical dependency, doesn't have to be an actual addictive substance, you know, it comes in all shapes and forms. And so I definitely want to make another show kind of like this, a just chatting thing at night, a nice chill stream where I think, yes, yeah, Dead Center, I think it would too. Like a place where whether people show up or not at night, it's fine. Like a thing where I'm going to start doing a thing where I'll be here playing, maybe playing a game that I don't actually have to pay attention to. Maybe, you know, just something like Animal Crossing or something as an example. But of me physically here, hanging out, where people can jump into my chat and, you know, a safe place just to talk about if they're having a rough time, if they just need somebody's ear or something like that. And I want to start that sometime, like as a later in the evening thing where they know I will be here on Twitch, where they can come and talk and chat with me and just say some stuff and, you know, things like that. I am by no means a professional. I know the experiences that I've had. I know I've been to a few different things. I've been to group things. I've been to I haven't done AA, parts of that, these religious heavy handedness of that kind of scares me a little bit as somebody who's not religious at all, things like that. I know it's not really based around that, but I know that's a heavy portion of it. So I've been to like smart meetings, I've been to group meetings, and exactly, does honor. And especially for me, when I first started doing it, a lot of my friends and family were very supportive of it. They were very helpful. So that was helpful. But outside of my close group, it was hard to wrap your head around it, focus on it, and because they were understanding, but they didn't understand it, if that makes sense. And when I first started getting in doing some smart meetings and some group meetings and things like that, when I just sat in a room and was able to talk to people and hear people talk about it, it kind of helped a little bit. But at the same time, those meetings, for me at least, a few, I would start going to them and then they were very helpful, and then they quickly became like a routine because they focus on their literature. They're like, we need to do this today, we need to do, and then the next week you'd be like, maybe you have to do that again if there's new people, or you move on to the next part of the literature. They had a focus of things like worksheets and things like that, and I know that helps a lot of people. I can see it helping a lot of people. But for me, what helped me in those situations was I was just in a room with people that understood what I was going through, and I could understand what they were going through. And just that aspect of talking to people, not necessarily about addiction, but just being able to be free and talk about, hey, this is what I did yesterday, this is what I'm going to do this weekend. But then while you're talking about that, you can freely talk about it, yeah, I'm going to go to this 4th of July party, but I'm not going to, it's going to be a sober 4th of July party. And then talking about just being able to mention it, and people don't look at you like you're crazy because you have to be sober, because they understand it too. So it's you don't have to, yeah, exactly, you don't have to skirt around that situation. You can just talk about it freely. So, and what I realized so at the moment, I just moved as well, so I don't actually even know where any meetings and stuff like that are in the area. So when I started streaming, I was like, I want to create a space that helps other people feel like I felt when I was in those group meetings for the first half of them, when everybody's just talking about their day, their week, things like that. Because that was most helpful to me, and there's probably a lot of people out there that is the most helpful aspect of it. So I started that idea in December when I really wanted to take streaming seriously. So we're 6 months in now. Since then, since it's all of 6 months of sober content from me on Twitch, and so far and part of it has to do with everything else I've been doing in my life has been keeping busy. But this is one of the, since I had the decision made kind of by me and kind of for me a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that I needed to get sober. This is definitely by far one of the longest times that haven't had a relapse so far. More so than I just haven't had a relapse, so I haven't had urges or thoughts like about it like for 6 months straight, because I have this community that I'm always talking with. I have, you know, people in the Lunar Alchemists that I talk to, and it's just like and the house stuff in the last 2 months has been keeping me busy. And that's one of my things was if I get bored, then I start thinking about that stuff. But more so, like, yeah, it's like the 6 months now, no, you know, like no relapses, but like not even any urges. And like so it's really great. And that's why I want to keep building on this and get that late night show going. And that way I can continue to focus on it. Thanks, Dead Zoner. Appreciate it, man. I've had stints like this, like before, like especially when I was first sober and stuff like that. I definitely hit like around 6 to 8 months or so, or in and around there with no relapses. But there was definitely very hard parts of that time where there was heavy urges, like things like that. And this time it's just, it seems like it's been flying by, and so it's exciting for me. And yeah, so I definitely want to get to, like I said, I want to get that going, because I do want to keep, for the most part, this morning show kind of turned into what I want that to be, mostly because, like I said, I missed talking about it in and around June 10th, you know, the 6 month mark of just sober content, sober streaming, and, you know, stuff like that. And now, you know, I got Twitch affiliate a few months ago, which is great. That was like the first step I needed to get, because now I don't have to play to those games, you know. I don't have to, until someday, maybe in the future, when I get close to like a partner numbers, then I'll have to start playing that number game again. But now that I got affiliate, I have the stuff that I wanted to do, you know, like channel points, things like that, and I can focus more on my content, and not so much I need to play these number games. Like I have to stream this game because it's you know, gonna get me the viewers and stuff like that. So that's a really good place as well, because now I can really focus on my content that I want to, you know, focus on, and not so much worrying about, I'm only gonna have, you know, 2 average viewers on these, you know, my evening just chatting stream. But, you know, if those 2 viewers are, if they're there and they're talking in chat, and we're, you know, they're there to talk about that they're having trouble or having a rough day, then those two viewers mean everything at that point. You know, if somebody can help from it when I do it, then that's all that matters. I don't need awesome. And have fun cleaning, man. Thank you so much for hanging out a little bit, Dead Zoner, and it was good talking to you, and appreciate the follow, man. So yeah, so as long as, if it helps anybody, even one person, I don't need 20 viewers. I'd love 20 viewers if we had a bunch of us just chatting and talking about, you know, their mental health things, addiction things like that. That would be awesome too. But that's not what it's the focus I want to be about. I just want to be here at, you know, have a set time at night on a set day where people can come in and they know I'll be here, and they can talk about their stuff. Like, and part of that as well is some people know this, and you might not, and some people might not know this. With sober things and whatnot, there's like an acronym and like a little saying, and it's called "I will not drink with you today," and that's going to be like the focus of that stream. Is, you know, whether you have to be sober, you want to be sober, or you just want to cut back, we'll talk about, you know, that, and we'll, you know, that'll be one of the things that, like the mantra that a lot of people use. Like, even if you're just a sober supporter, you can join us and, you know, be with that and say, I will not drink with you today, things like that. So that's definitely coming in the pipeline, along with, you know, my regular gameplay streams. Yeah, so that'll be the first new thing I introduce after. So like I said, this week we'll get back to gameplay, and at least one gameplay stream this week, and then by next week I want both my gameplay streams back in rotation on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Most likely those days might change, we'll see. And then yeah, within a week or two, maybe next week, maybe the week after, that'll be the first thing I want to introduce into my schedule as well. And in the evening at some time, I'm probably thinking Wednesday or Thursday evening for the that just chatting stream about that stuff. I don't really have a name for it at all. I'm not going to focus too much on the name, things like that. So yeah, so that's the content that I want, the channel content portion of this that I wanted to talk about. So let's get into something a little bit more fun to finish this off. And we all know that is getting bored. So part of the getting bored segment is we're going to talk about board games. It's always board games, but we're going to talk about some new additions to my board game library, which is now something like 215, I don't know, 210, 215 games, something like that. It's yeah, it keeps growing, and now that we have a house, it might grow even more. But we might slow it down. We'll see. I just got this. Friends came over, and it was kind of a late birthday gift, kind of a house gift. But they got me this game. Ooh. It's very light reflective, which is funny. So this game, Photosynthesis, is awesome. This game was a must find a few years ago at Gen Con. Everybody wanted it. It was sold out every day. It was ridiculous to get. Since then, I wasn't even looking for it either. Like, I wasn't interested in it at that Gen Con. I had heard about it. I thought it was an interesting game, but it wasn't on my list of must-haves that Gen Con. Then like a year or so after that, we went, my wife and I were at a board game cafe, and we played it. And it's a really fun game. It's a very interesting game. You pick your pieces of trees, you get in there, and it's a resource management game, but it has a little twist on it where you have to maintain like a certain level of light production with your trees. So your trees absorb light, and you use that resource, light, to plant and grow and do other things with trees. But you get points by cutting your trees down. But if you cut all your trees, if you start growing some trees and they get a decent size and you cut all of them down, then it really just kind of like obliterates all of your resource production, and then it's a very slow start again. So it's about maintaining trees, cutting trees down, and like making sure you don't lose any of your too much of your light production. So it's a lot of fun. The pieces are really, they look good. Let's see. So they're all trees of different colors and shapes, and you pick a type of tree that you want to play as, and then you plant them. They grow to bigger sizes, things like that. It's very good. So I'm really excited that our friends got that for me, for as like a little birthday house gift. Can't wait to play it. And yeah, it's a great addition to my collection. And yeah, so the biggest strategy, like I said, with that is you gotta make sure you don't cut all your trees down, because then it sets you back way too much. Very hard to recover. Yeah, you want to keep putting up trees, trimming your forest down a little bit, but maintaining light production up and down. But it's really great. It's also a game that has a set number of rounds, a set number of turns. So it, generally speaking, based on your speed and how you play it and your abilities with board games, it's going to have relatively the same amount of play time. So it's not going to be, oh, you have to play until somebody gets this number of points and you don't know when the game's going to end. The game's going to end after X number of rounds, no matter what. And then whoever has the most points after that number of rounds wins. So I like those kind of games that have a definitive end time, more so than the games that are like, oh, it ends when these conditions are met. It does have that. So that's really cool. And before that, a little game I had picked up from a local game store here. It's the Rival Networks. As you can see, this boy is still wrapped in plastic. I haven't even gotten the plastic off of this one yet. I don't know too much of how it plays. I do know it is a 2-player specific version of a game that we already have in the library here. The game is called The Networks. Obviously, that's the Rival Networks. The original game is called The Networks. And the original game, you run a TV network and you kind of like buy and bid for like ad space. You have to get actors, and you have to bid on you have to grab show pilots, and so you get these show pilots and you put them in. You try to get them in the primetime slots that they want to get the most points. You got to put actors with them. Try to throw on a good ad in that show, so that way the show doesn't cost too much money. And you go in and out, and it's got a set number of rounds as well. And so there's like the first half of the game, and there's like the second half. The second half, where there's like 5 weeks of play, and each week has different shows and actors and stuff like that come out. It's really fun. I love the game a lot. It's such an interesting concept of play. But the original game, although it said like 2 to 4 players or 2 to 5, something like that, I forgot. It's not great with 2 players. It's one of those things that we've talked about it before. The rule changes between a game with 3 or more players and a game with just 2 players is a lot. They tried to make it, and it's not like it plays bad, it just does not play anywhere near as well. It's clunky. It introduces some weird stuff, more stuff that you have to pay attention to than sometimes you want to, things like that. And yeah, it's just one of those things. I'd give it like an okay rating for the 2-player game. Like if I was gonna rate it in like a 3-tier scale, like not good, okay, and good, as far as like the special 2-player rules, it's okay. Sushi Go, not good at all, just terrible with 2-player. But this one, it's playable, and it's essentially the same game, just some added complexities to make it so that you and the other player have some events and stuff like that that get in the way of just talking back and forth and planning out everything. So definitely the original version of the game, the networks, I would say it's like 3 or more players really make it what it's supposed to be, like the vision of the game. So the rival networks is 2 players and 2 players only. So I'm excited to get in there and see that, because it's probably, so it looks like the same concept as the original, except it is only made for 2 players. That's exciting. Looking forward to trying that. And yeah, so those are the 2 additions to the board game library. I'm pretty sure I've gotten behind on updating. I have a spreadsheet with all of my board games, so I know I have over 200. I just don't know how many we're at now. I really need to get back down now that we have all the board games unpacked. They take up 5 IKEA shelving units. It's like a nook in the basement. It's crazy. If you're watching this on YouTube, and I'll put a link into my Discord in the description, or you can find a link to my Discord in my Twitch about page, twitch.tv/GrimMethod. GrimMethod and all social media. If you join the Soul Club Discord, there is a picture in there of the game Nook library that we have here, so you can kind of see how many games are in there. It's a bit wild. Yeah, so I need to get back down in there. I need to update my spreadsheet. I feel like there's a few games I think did not make it through the move, like as we're packing, hit 14 boxes of games, some of the games just kind of, they got cut. They weren't games I'm super interested in. They were mostly games that I'd pull out if we wanted to play a game and we had people over that were just like, they're like, they say they play board games, but what they really mean is like Monopoly in life. So I had like Stratego and other stuff like that. They just cut out, like, well, Stratego is a 2-player only game, and I don't think I'd ever play that with, again, like, just no, it's too basic. It's like Battleship. It's not hard. I don't like basic games like that. And so some of the games didn't make it, so I'm gonna have to go back through and look at the shelves and reassess the spreadsheet and figure out how many games we actually have now. And yeah, so that's where we're at with the board games. We're like, now it got delayed. Gen Con coming up soon ish. I think it got delayed to the fall. I'm not going to physically go to Gen Con again this year. I don't want to. They're doing some half online, half in-person type of hybrid. It just doesn't appeal to me. After we missed Gen Con last year because of COVID, I don't want to go to some half version of Gen Con. Like, I want to, so probably be next year. Hopefully next year will be a back and full version of Gen Con. Going to go to that. I'm super excited to hit back into Gen Con, get back into the thick of board games. Like, it's such an experience if you are really into board games, and I mean real board games, not Life and Monopoly. Gen Con is an experience you really got to do it at least once. I've been physically to Gen Con 10 years in a row, only missing last year because of COVID, and this year I will do all of their online stuff. A friend got me the online badge already, so this will be my 12th year in a row attending Gen Con in some way, shape, or form. And it's in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's always late summer, August-ish, generally speaking. So like the first or second week of August, or sometimes the last week of the weekend of July. Generally in and around that area. Indianapolis, Indiana. It's just it's an experience, like just the cosplay, the board games, the event, the exhibit hall, just the people there hanging out, you know, until 1 a.m. at night playing board games in a hotel lobby, and not being the only ones that are doing that it's really cool. So excited to hopefully doing that a full Gen Con next year. We'll see what happens with that. But my wife has one game kickstarted right now, and I have two games kickstarted right now, so there's at least 3 more games showing up probably in a year or so. Kickstarters are a little bit slower, but yeah. So that's all the stuff I had planned for this morning show. We talked about my house stuff that I did over this weekend. We talked about the channel content that I want to do in the future, the gameplay streams I need to get back on the schedule, and of course we always have our getting bored segment. So yeah, this is another great morning show. I really appreciate Dead Zoner coming in, Dead Zoner 17 coming in here with the follow, talking about all of that stuff with my content that I want to get going with mental health, addiction, things like that. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I might be streaming today, because it'll be on YouTube tomorrow, Tuesday. I still don't know if it's gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be Tuesday or Thursday, but they're both on my calendar as recurring events on my Twitch calendar. So when I figure out which day I want to do, either Tuesday or Thursday, I'll remove the other one from my calendar. So just, if you're watching this on YouTube, I could be streaming later today. Check out my Twitch page. It's /ClearMethod at Twitch TV, or check me out on social media, and I'll announce it on social media if I remember. And Instagram is the place where I always put my stuff, whether it's Twitch content or just my content in general, my house adventures, my board game adventures, things like that. I try to put them on Instagram as often as possible whenever I remember, and I want to get better about that. My Facebook and Twitter, I may start using them more. I know those are good. Twitter is, I know, a good place as well. I'm just not great at doing it and remembering to do it. So we'll see. But Instagram is the place to see most of my content, because most of my content is so visual that Instagram is the best place for me to do it. And yeah, if not Twitch, or if not Instagram, always on my Twitch page, my VODs, my live streaming, stuff like that. And then YouTube right now is the place that I'm putting all of my morning show videos on demand, so you can watch any one of them there anytime. And hopefully I'll be making more specialized and edited content to get on YouTube, but for now that is the place to go for my morning show. If you're not able to catch it live on Monday mornings, because I know it's pretty early, then at Tuesday sometime at 11 a.m. ish or later, it'll be up on YouTube every Tuesday. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you, Indigo, for the lurk, and Dead Zoner for the follow, hanging out. I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. And yeah, so make sure you follow me on social media, see what I'm going to be doing some gameplay stream this week, and what game I'm going to be playing. Once I know, you'll know. And yeah, come check me out every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern for the morning show, or you can watch it on Tuesday sometime after 11 a.m. On YouTube. So my socials are, like this thing says, Shazam, at Grim Method, at all of the socials. Right there. Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Grim Method. That's where you'll find me. Hope everybody has a great week. Hopefully it's not too stressful. We'll see you later this week with some gameplay. Okay. Thank you guys so much. We're out of here.